Welcome back to Alchemical Astrology. I'm your sky clock reader, Melusine, with the lunar report for the Sagittarius new moon occurring at 5:57 p.m. EST on November 23rd, 2022. I'm happy to announce, after the eclipse cycle that steamrolled through the fixed sign axis of Scorpio-Taurus, that we have a moment of relief, marked by this fiery new moon conjuncting the sun in the first degree of Sagittarius. Hope for the future is ignited by the luminary's landing in the sign of the celestial archer, pointing his arrow to the future. As you can see by the chart calculated from my present location in Toronto, Canada, we have a stellium in the mutable fire sign of the optimistic philosopher. The sun and moon are joined by Venus and Mercury after being wedged in the underworld for the last 3 weeks. To add more life to this party, we have Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, exalted in the mutable sign of Pisces, where he is stationing direct at the same time this new moon presents in the sky. This is a veritable lighthouse pointing a way out of the quagmire the world has been wading through in the sign of the Scorpion. But there have been lessons learned here, painful as they might have been. Scorpio is the place of death and rebirth. We have been elbowed by the planetary energies to face our demons, both emotionally and mentally, so that we can all see our way clear to a transformative new beginning. From the heart of darkness, we are emerging revitalized and empowered, free from the burden of old woundings. Before we start popping the champagne corks, however, there is a caveat I have to include based on a couple of important factors. Mars is now retrograding in the mutable air sign of Gemini and is squaring Neptune in Pisces all month. This puts your rational mind at a distinct disadvantage, as boundaries are blurred and what you hear, read, or see could be a shadow play of trickery, illusion, and false narrative. Jupiter expands everything he touches, so this amps up the confusion since he is still conjunct Neptune. Use this as an opportunity to hone your intuitive skills, as Neptune is also trining Pluto. So your power lies in discerning with your third eye and placing trust in your convictions, no matter what evidence is presented to the contrary via your 5 senses. Surround yourself with positive people and build community with like-minded, heart-centered individuals who share your values. There are times when you would be wise to surrender control and put faith in a benevolent universe. I'm not advocating naively seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. On the contrary, it takes considerable skill to arrive at a place of knowing in the depth of your being that we are powerful enough to arrive on higher ground if we cooperate and support each other through hardship. Bear in mind, whatever you put forward now will be scrutinized thoroughly when the cluster of 4 planets in Sagittarius form an opposition to retrograding Mars at the end of the month. If you have done anything on impulse or haphazardly, you will encounter challenging setbacks once this configuration comes into play. So be forewarned that you need to plan with care and conviction. Use the Mercury sextile Saturn on the 29th to filter your ideas and determine which are practical and can be implemented while the energies remain very unstable. The fact of the matter is, there are 7 planets in mutable signs on this new moon. Mutable signs are flexible and adaptable by nature, and anchoring is not easily achievable when all the personal planets are pulsing in air and fire signs. Take some time to ground yourself and get centered while the dust settles from the stampede out of the fixed sign mosh pit of eclipse energy. Another aspect that most astrologers categorize as minor, but in my view has particular significance in a global paradigm shift, is the quindecile between Uranus and Venus for this initiatory moon phase. Quindecile is Latin for 15, and represents the division of 360 degrees by 15, producing a 165-degree angle that implies an obsessive drive to achieve a goal. While dogged determination has its place and is a welcome force when you're floating in a mutable pool, the danger lies in letting this compulsion float you into Neptune's dreamscape and away from a firm hold on reality. As Venus is involved, this relates specifically to desire and the pleasure principle. Applying to Uranus, it sparks a drive towards freedom and rebellion in the relationship arena. This is a separating energy that should not be ignored. Choose your words wisely and don't lash out if someone close to you triggers this drive. On the other hand, it could also gravitate you towards a target that may not prove worthy of your devotion. Now is not the time to consider long-term commitments of the heart. The first decan of Sagittarius is ruled by Mercury, who is now leading the pack in its orbital momentum after it reached its superior conjunction during the lunar eclipse and passed the Sun. Mercury followed Venus into the underworld and is now no longer visible in the night sky until it emerges as evening star in December. Further warnings from the sky that our mental acuity will be hampered by scattered patterning and communication can be heavily open to misinterpretation. Mercury is in its detriment in the sign of Sagittarius and is prone to exaggerating a narrative as well as acting on impulse. All the more reason to rein in our thoughts and pause to review before taking any action whatsoever. The new moon will also be in proximity to the fixed star Chuba in the head of the Scorpion. There is a blending of qualities of both malefic, Mars and Saturn, for this star. The danger is generally at the back end of a Scorpion, but by no means does this cancel the potential for possible conflict continuing when it comes to the will of the people and the respective authorities claiming they know what is best for the collective. So keep your guard up and do your research when it comes to any life-altering decision you are considering before we arrive at the winter solstice in December, as the Saturn-Uranus square still very much applies. With all this in mind, the crystal I recommend to align with on this new moon is the Epidote. This crystal facilitates positive thinking and enhances personal power. It clears energetic blockages that may still be compromising your subtle energy bodies. It increases circulation and relieves tension on the physical plane. The potential to raise your thoughts to the higher octave occupied by Uranus is enabled through this beautiful green silicate mineral. As far as plant allies go, I would suggest yellow dock root, the perfect remedy, since it is classified as a bitter herb which stimulates the bile and digestive system, ensuring the microbiome is balanced and the liver is detoxified. The liver stores anger, and the gallbladder is the parking spot for righteous indignation. There is an abundance of this permeating the collective frequencies, and we can raise the bar with this plant medicine so our mental and emotional bodies are cleansed and fortified. I wish you many blessings until the full cold moon cycles in on the 7th of December, where we shall meet again for the next Lunar Report.